is a community of Turkish Muslim girls living in Germany who are still worried about honor killings, who are still worried about getting cast as an outcast by their family members if they live a normal life.
Yeah, well, what you would consider normal, but what some of their family would call the life of a whore.
Right. So, there was this really interesting German publication that wrote about the problem that they're having with Muslim girls and how a lot of them, in fact, half of all suicides, Muslim girls in Germany have twice the suicide rate of any other girl.
Right.
In the country.
Right.
So, they're having a huge problem with it because they're also having late-term abortions. A lot of them don't get sex ed, so they don't know how to protect themselves from sexually transmitted diseases or unwanted pregnancies. They try to hide their pregnancy, or they try to get abortions in illegal ways, in unsafe ways. So Germany's trying to find ways to handle this. And of course, they've come up with support groups and things like that to, educate these women and help them. What I also found really interesting is a lot of these Muslim girls have relationships that they have to hide from their families, right? And they're so worried about losing their virginity and being outcast as a whore that what they do is they have anal sex and they get injured in that way.
Hold on. Okay, hold on. So wait a minute. So let's understand. Now, we've used the word whore twice, right? It's in the article, okay? Mm-hmm. We're taking that is literally what they're getting called if they ever have sex before marriage, right? It's some of the abortions are disastrous because my understanding, based on this article, is that late-term abortions are not allowed in Germany.
They're illegal. So what happens is there's one doctor that all of these girls go to, right? And it's very unclear as to whether or not this doctor performs the late-term abortions. She says that she refers them to Dutch clinics, and they go get the late-term abortions there.
And she says, look, if I don't refer them to the Dutch clinics, they're going to do it in illegal ways, right? Whether it's some terrible herbal remedies, which are basically poison.
Or they get kicked in the abdomen.
Okay.
Just really terrible things.
So these are the real-life consequences of having this strict so-called moral code. So their moral code is sex is a terrible thing, but when you're 6 months pregnant, kicking your daughter in the abdomen to get rid of that child is not a terrible moral thing. That's the moral thing to do. That's the honorable thing to do. Or when you find out your daughter has had sex and either you or the brothers beat her up. That apparently is moral. Having sex is immoral, right? Now, look, I'm Turkish, right? Now, my family isn't from that community at all, not just the ones in Germany, but that's not how we were raised, right? But nonetheless, I understand that so-called honor code. And it's impossible for me to disagree with it more. Okay, there's nothing honorable about it at all. Now, for some cultures, I say, look, some things I think is flat out wrong. I'm not going to go that far as saying, like, hey, them wanting to make sure their daughters are virgins is wrong. I'm going to say I totally 100% disagree with it, right? But when they go into the beating of the women or trying to get the abortions in illegal ways, that is wrong, right? I mean, if you're trying to protect your daughter, it doesn't make any sense to beat the crap out of her. And in reality, of course, you're not trying to protect your daughter. You're trying to protect your foolish pride and honor.
You're trying to protect your family's name, the pride, the honor. That's what it's really about, and that comes at a huge cost. And the cost is your daughter's safety and your daughter's happiness. They don't even care about the happiness. Maybe they care about the safety a little bit, but when you really look at the numbers, they have twice the suicide rate. They're likely to engage in anal sex because they're afraid to have regular sex.
All right, now you brought it up twice, so you're going to make me talk about it, okay? It's your fault.
Okay.
All right, you get this. The more religious they are, the more honorable they are, the more they have anal sex.
Because they want to keep their hymen intact. That's crazy.
Okay, but it gets worse. So the headscarf ladies are more likely to have anal sex. Okay, I'm telling you the article. Okay, and by the way, the writer of the article is also Turkish. Okay, it's from Germany, but she's Turkish ethnically. I can tell by the name, right? Headscarf ladies, and then they have no place to do it. They can't bring the guy back home, so they're doing it in public bathrooms. So the honorable thing to do is to get anal sex in a public bathroom because you don't want to break your hymen. I mean, see, this is the kind of irony that I love among religious people, right? They're like, no, 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 no. I have saved my honor. I put it in the third door. Everything is saved. Don't worry. And then they come out and they got their headscarf and they're like, oh, cool, yeah, rock and roll, yeah, sure.
Okay, but to be fair, Cenk, these girls, I mean, they feel like they have no choice. They're scared, they're brainwashed, they're scared. They want to they want to get married one day and they're afraid. Their mothers told them, if you break your hymen, no one's going to marry you. You're going to be a whore. You're as good as a person turning tricks.
They say, no, no, no. They say, if you go to any party, not only are you a whore, you're a whore turning tricks. Like, it's automatically assumed if you go to a party, you're turning tricks. Okay. Now, and on the hymen issue, a lot of them, of course, when I say a lot of them, I don't mean the majority of them or anything. And obviously, don't judge all Turkish people, let alone all Turks in Germany based on this. A great number of Turks in Germany do not do this, obviously, right? But some of them are getting reconstructive hymen surgery. Okay.
Right.
They're like, it's okay, as long as we stitch it back up, everything's going to be fine, okay? It's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. It's crazy land, right? And I'm not blaming the girls. I hear you, man.
Yeah.
I hear you. And
They're
by the way, guys go along with it. There are guys on the other end of that, and they're like, oh, you're all right. Fatma, let's save your honor. Let's go back door.